Okay, so it happens to be that we've got an amazing event that's coming up. So what, if everyone mute yourselves, the voice always comes out much better.
Oh.
But then you have to remember to unmute yourselves when you got to talk, okay?
Oh. Okay.
All right, Jackie, you mute yourself. And Nicole Stiller, press mute. Brian, press mute. Nicole Grill, press mute. Oh, you're all so attractive tonight. It must be the glitter of the earrings. Loving it. Okay. So we had, last week on Thursday, we had a fast day. It was a minor fast called the 17th of the month of Tammuz. And it was a fast that spoke about, that we commemorated the siege that began when the walls of Jerusalem were broken down, that led to an event called Tisha B'Av, which happens in just under 3 weeks, just over 2 weeks really, where we commemorate when the temples were destroyed. Okay, I'm going to do something a little bit different tonight. I want to talk about that and how that has a maximum impact, a massive impact on our life. And that we have to speak about what it is that we're missing in order to appreciate what we do on that day. It's really a fast that people don't know about, right? Everyone here knows about Yom Kippur, right? Put your hands up, for sure. Right, we do Rosh Hashanah, we do Yom Kippur, it's the biggest fast. We can't wait for the chocolate bar or whatever it is that you break your fasts with every year. You know, I can't wait to have my Mars bar or whatever you're going to break your fast on at the end when you're with your family or by yourself. So Tisha B'Av is it's a national day of mourning. It's such a massive day in the Jewish calendar, but in order to understand it, we've got to talk about what we lost. Now, at the same time, 2 events happened for me in the last 2 weeks. One is I lost my grandmother, who was an incredible part of my life, such a inspiring matriarch of our family that gave a tremendous amount of nurturing and love and specialness, that she made me feel special always. The second event that happened to me was, is anyone here doing the Tony Robbins thing? Did anyone join the Tony Robbins comeback challenge? No? Guys, you're missing out.
I know what it is.
You didn't.
Yeah, what is it?
You know, I talk about Rabbi Robbins every now and again because he's one of my loves as a motivational speaker. I just think he's fabulous. So he had a 10-day, 2 hours every day, a challenge that 320,000 people worldwide joined in, and we had to do it every day. And it happens to be that tomorrow I also start, he has a seminar called Unleash the Power Within, and it's an incredible seminar. So I'm going to explain to you, I'm going to give you tools from Tony Robbins, from me, from Judaism, in order to mastermind our lives and how to really experience something. So I'm going to try and do it all together and give it to you. You ready? Okay, got this?
Yeah.
So, in order to, so on this day of Tisha B'Av, which is this fast day that happens in, I think it's the 29th of July, if I'm correct. It starts on the night of the 29th of July and goes until the nighttime of the 30th. It's a full 25-hour fast, national day of mourning. So what have we lost? So we're told in the times of the temple, this is what we've lost. So that if you wanted to have, you felt like blah, and you wanted to hide under the duvets and dodge the bullets, and just life was just way too overwhelming and it was just too much. You know how that feels during Corona? You can really identify with that, right? So more than that, all you had to do was you'd go outside, saddle your donkey, ride down to Jerusalem, you'd get this inoculation of spirituality coming into the temple ground, which is the wall around it was the Western Wall, which is what we visit. That's the closest, one of the closest places that we have to what was considered the Temple Mount, which now the dome rests on. And it was, the whole temple was destroyed. on Tisha B'Av. Tisha is 9, and Av is the next Hebrew month that comes after Tammuz. So it's called the 9th of Av. It's a national day of mourning. So on this day, we're commanded to mourn. It's like being commanded to have an emotion. We're commanded to cry, to sit on low chairs. The men from last Thursday until Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, we don't shave. There were no weddings. If any of you got married around this time of year, you had to plan it before or after because no one gets married. So it's a time of mourning that leads up to this national day. So, there's a few things there. We're commanded to be sad. We're commanded to cry, to sit on low chairs, actually to sit on the floor. We're commanded to really have a day of really feeling the loss. Most Jews don't even know about Tisha B'Av, let alone understand the loss that we've experienced. So, number one, we've lost the ability to come out from our covers and get that inoculation of spirituality. For us, we could liken it to going on a trip and getting to the Western Wall and feeling, hi, Daddy, it's me. I'm home. I'm here. I need you. This is what I need. And feeling heard, seen, listened to, connected to, having meaningful connections with your Creator, with other people, and really getting close to yourself. To be able to get to the Temple Mount, which the entire Jewish people did 3 times a year. It's called the 3 foot festivals, Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Every Jew around Israel would saddle up or walk 3 foot festivals because they would go all the way down to Jerusalem and they would bring their offerings and have their deep connection. That's number one. Number two, let's say you have a headache. Let's say you've got crazy stuff going on in your life, or you don't have clarity about something. You know what you did back then in temple times? You'd go to the neighbor, you'd knock on his door, and you'd say, hi, Mr. Prophet, this is how I've been feeling lately. What do I do? And they would take out their pad, and they would go, here's a prescription for you, a spiritual prescription. You know what the problem is? You've been talking badly about your mother-in-law. Here's a 30-day challenge, in spiritual terms, of course. Here's a 30-day challenge. If you stop talking badly about your mother-in-law, your headaches, stomach aches, and unclear clarity are just all going to disappear. There were so many prophets that people had access to people that spoke to the Almighty. Boom. We've lost that. The way we feel it is there's no clarity. Very difficult to get clarity. So the loss of being able to have that inoculation of spirituality and a deep relationship with Hashem of really, an inoculation of spirituality, then having the clarity of knowing what's going on, messages, not just trying to figure out the messages, but being able to ask the hundreds of thousands of prophets that existed that we don't have after the destruction of the Second Temple. And then thirdly, there was a presence that Hashem was in this place. You know what we have today? We look around the world, and our job, we hear that God's concealed in nature. He's concealed in the world. And our job, if we really want to have that deep connection, we have to pierce through the concealment and try and see God in the trees. I was at the beach today. Oh my gosh, it's like divine. I smell the ocean. I can feel the breeze. I can literally taste the salt water. I can feel the heat of the sun on my face. I could see the happiness, and I breathe so easy at the beach. I feel connected. Such a beautiful connection for me. I see God in nature. So we didn't have to do that. We didn't have to pierce through the concealment of this world. Hashem, you would be able to see with clarity. Hashem, his presence was everywhere with clarity, but his home was in the Beis Hamikdash, the temple. Now, your synagogues are called temples because that's the closest we have today to a place where everybody comes and wants to have a deep relationship with God. Okay. Minimize that screen for a minute. So I lost my grandmother, right, last week. And who was my grandma to me? The end of every phone call, it went like this. Oh, Sharon, Sharon, darling, you know that I love you. And I said, yes, Grandma, thank you, Grandma, yes, Grandma. Sharon, do you know how special you are? I said, yes, Grandma, thank you, Grandma, yes. Sharon, yes, Grandma. She was 91 when she passed away. Sharon, you know how special you are to me? You're a very special person. I said, yes, Grandma, thank you, Grandma. I love you, Grandma, I love you, Grandma. That was my grandma, but she did it to, we have 4 cousins, so she had 4 grandchildren. All of us thought we were her favourite. Literally. What a good job she did. So I was told we had a couple of weeks when, you know, it was any day, any day. And I was told in the morning, I had clients, 3 clients that were coming up, and I cried for 10 minutes before. I'm like, okay, gotta get myself together, I can do this. She's had an incredible life, she's really built us, we're gonna be okay. I had these 3 clients, and then I put the phone down, and I got on the phone to my family. Oh, my cousin, oh, this one, look, it was just tears. Got home, I dealt with my kids, dealt with my family. Everything was good. I went out for date night that night. And I said to my husband, we're sitting at the only Starbucks that exists past like 5 o'clock at night. And I said, honey, do you mind if I talk about my grandma? He's like, no, it's what I expected you to do. I cried for an hour and a half. It was the most fantastic date night. And I had an opportunity. I felt like I was sitting shiver, literally. And I just sat there and I spoke and I processed and I said how incredible she was and what I'm going to miss. Tisha B'Av for us is being able to have that National Day of Mourning, that unless we know what it is we're missing, we're never going to be really able to mourn the loss of what we've lost, of what we've missed. Tony Robbins, here we go. This is such fun. Okay, Tony Robbins. Everyone with me so far? You're all around? Okay, you're amazing. Tony Robbins works like this. This is just one aspect of his stuff, wisdom. He says like this. It's all about your mindset. If you want to create a successful life, if you want to be able to push past your limiting beliefs, you have to understand, just letting someone else in, you have to understand that it's all about your mindset that's going to allow you to be awesome or to be, that's about it, okay? So how do we create this awesome mindset? There are 3 things. Number 1, it's about your language. Number 2, it's about what you focus on. And number 3, your language, your focus, and 1 minute, and your physiology. Your language, your focus, and your physiology. Hi, Michelle Cohan, we're so excited you're here. Okay, your language, your focus, and your physiology. So, okay, great. Sounds like really nice words. Let's do language. And it's all going to come back together, and hopefully you see the enjoyment I had in creating this to know how we're going to do Tisha B'Av, all right? So your physiology, which, by the way, has now been proved by Harvard University. The way that you stand, your posture, everything about how your body moves, right? Thanks, Wendy. Everything about how your body moves creates your mindset. It says that Harvard University said that how you move your body, I think they called it the power pose study, how you move your body has a biochemical effect on your mind. Okay, you can all look it up. So what I used to do with people was...
This doesn't work, the new chargers. Somehow it didn't work.
Oh, when did we hear you, Bibula?
Sorry.
That's okay. So what I do, and what I do with any teenager that comes into my room, is I make them stand the superhero pose, right? Harvard's kind of stolen that and called it the power pose, but you know, right? It's they stand up and you put your hands on your hips, like this, you know, not like this, but like this. You put your chest out, your shoulders back, like you survey your world at how valuable how much you can contribute. Where can I'm a superhero. I'm amazing. If you stand like this, you're going to feel sad. I literally, the last hour before I met with you guys, I met with a woman who's literally mourning the loss of the end of a 7-year relationship. Her first big relationship from the age of 17 to 25. Woo! It's massive. We'll come back to, so what did she look like? She looks like this. Her physiology is creating sadness. I mean, it's important to process it. I'm just talking about her physiology. She was sad, she was down, she was hiding under the covers, she didn't want to do it, she was avoiding everything that he had around the room. It was a trigger for her, right? So Tony says, the way you stand, I want everyone to stand up right now. Come on, even the people who are really comfortable. Corey, who's in bed or on the couch looking scrumptious, get up. Okay, we're going to do this. Michelle turned off the photo. We expect you to be standing in your hiddenness. Michelle Cohan. All right, you got it? I want you to stand up. Do the superhero pose. Danny, you've got to have your hands like this on your hips. Right? You got it? Put your chest out. Put your shoulders back. Right? Legs a little bit apart. You've got your legs a little bit apart. And you just head slightly risen. And as you survey your land, you're a superhero. And now say, yes! Do that. Everyone do, yes! And again, yes! And now 2 hands, yes, yes, yes! Right, whilst you do that, whilst you go, yes! Say, I've got this. Now, don't sit down. You know what I need you to do? Thanks, Corey. Right? What I want you to do when you're in this place, first of all of you feel better already because you have more energy. So now I want you to pretend that you're accessing a state of mind, because this is all about how to change the mindset. You're warriors. Every challenge that you come up against is just a worthy opponent. The worthy opponent, you can handle any of it. You're a warrior, right? I want you to make the sound of the warrior. For me, I'll show you my warrior. You ready? Ah! Yeah! I'm a warrior, right? I could do anything. Yes, yes, woohoo! Show me yours. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Go for it. Okay, you can sit down now. I could have you stand there and access the lover in you, or access the state of the sovereign, the king and queen, to access the warrior. When you change, what's this point? When you change your physiology, when you create the energy that you need to put out into the world in that moment, it changes your biochemistry and you are able to change your mindset. It's not the other way around. Got it? You with me? Did everyone feel a more positive energy when you did that? I'm assuming a yes, right? You did, Corey, right? But what do we do when we're feeling rough? We just wallow in it. I did that yesterday, but we're not going to talk about that. But we wallow in the self-pity. But all we need to know is, number 1, physiology is what can change your mindset, not the other way around. Number 2, before we move on, if I wanted you all to be sad, I would tell you to hunch your shoulders and to lean on the table and even to put your head down and to think sad thoughts, right? And you would all get there. It would be really easy. But instantly you can go, yes, I am a warrior. I can hero pose this, and it changes you. Everything that you're coming up against is just a worthy opponent. Number 2, your language. I want you to know and to realize with complete clarity that the language that happens inside your head and the language that comes out of your mouth, you hear it, even if no one else hears it. And secondly, when it comes out your mouth, you label yourself and you either live up or down to your labels, right? Give me some nods here. You got this? Okay? So you have a story that you tell yourself. And I'm coming back to Tisha B'Av. You're going to see how, because I think it's brilliant. So I want you to recognize that you have a story that you tell yourself. We're going to now call it your old story. Your old story is all about all of your limiting beliefs. I'm always going to have this bad financial situation. I'm never going to get out of it. I'm going to be in this passionless marriage. I'm going to die dieting. I'm always going to be on a diet. I'm never going to have a proper work-life balance. I'm always going to be working so much. I'm never going to be able to put my priorities in order. Or my house is always going to be a mess. Or whatever works in love and relationships, in business and finance, in spirituality and your Judaism. In you name the subject, your language and your limiting beliefs has created a story that you live by. That story, we're now going to say, is an old story. It's an old story. When you write that story down, you expose all the lies that you continuously tell yourself that is codswallop. You expose those lies, you realize it's the old story. Now you've got to write the new story. All the truths, you see, also, we've spoken about this before, guys, but you know that the future that you have in all those streams of thoughts of your life, you already have decided what's going to be. My future, always going to have a stable financial situation. I'm always going to be broke. You've decided for your relationship, I'm never going to have my needs fulfilled in this marriage with this guy. It's what it's always going to be. So my marriage is always with my children. They're always going to disrespect me. So, hopefully we'll have a relationship in the future. But with my anger, my impatience, my this, I'm never going to get a control of. So I want you to see that old story that we're trying to create right now, that you already have a record going round and around and around, you filled your future in with that old story. So first, we have to empty that future in order to be able to live your potential, okay? So this is the language that is going on in here and comes out of here. You have to be aware of it. You have to change it to a new story of potential and excitement and hope, where you take the limiting beliefs and you smash them down because it's just a worthy opponent, right? Number 3 is called focus. What you focus on is going to create all of these things, your physiology, your language, and your focus create your mindset. So your focus, you have a part of your brain called the RAS, the reticulating something system, right? Any doctors here? You've got a part of your brain, you can look it up, it's called the RAS. What does it do when you buy a new car? I've never driven the religious mama's Toyota Sienna before I moved to Los Angeles. I've never even seen it. And now I have this huge, it's literally a camper van because it's the 8-seater that helps me in my carpool activity. I can do more families in my carpool, helps with my life, right? The minute I bought it, I saw them everywhere. I saw them all over the road. It was like the religious mama tank. I saw it everywhere. It was the mitzvah mobile. Oh my goodness. You buy a pair of sneakers, you see them everywhere. You start juicing, you see adverts about juicing. You see this about, you do a 30-day challenge, you see all these different, because whatever you choose to focus on, you're going to see everywhere. This part of your brain starts to notice. All the things in that area of your life are going to keep coming up. So whatever you choose to focus on, that's going to create your mindset. Your language, your limiting beliefs, your physiology that's tanking creates your mindset. You're the only person who can take control of that. You can only do it if you have a plan and then you take action on that plan. So the only way you're going to live in the past, the only way you can have your past affect your present and your future is if you're living in the past, if you're in the past. So now we're going to build this future. Okay, So do you understand those great techniques just about how to create a positive mindset, one that is going to reach your potential? You get that? Now I'm going to bring it back to Tisha B'Av. So I said at the beginning, we have this day where we're commanded that we've got to mourn and we've got to be sad. Most Jews don't even know about it, but it's the cataclysmic event that happened to the Jewish people that was more destructive than anything else that we've ever experienced. And everything on that day was sad. It was when the spies went to Israel and they came back with an unfavorable report, and all the Jewish people, they cried. And paraphrasing, but so to speak, as a parent, God said, you're crying over this, I'll give you something to cry about. That happened on the 9th of Av, and then the temples, both the temples, first and second, were also destroyed on the same date. So how do we actually experience them and commemorate Tisha B'Av, this day of mourning? Number one, your physiology. The actual rules. Are you meant to sit on a low chair? You're actually not meant to, kind of like what Dan is doing. We're not meant to sit on the couch. We're not meant to put ourselves in that comfort. We're meant to, with our physiology, with the movement of our body, be lower. We're meant to think low. You know what? We're meant to even cry. We're actually, says if someone sheds a tear, it's an amazing thing. You know what tears are when we cry? Not only when you cry does it release a stress hormone, but when you cry, you know if you have something in your eye that's like bothering you. I went to the beach today, I had sand in my eye, and I kind of was doing this and clearing. I had tears because the tears had the function of clearing something that was blocking my vision, right? And then I cried and it came out. So when we cry on a soul level, on a spiritual level, we cry because there's something blocking our vision. And we release those tears, which brings us clarity. But it's not the clarity that there's a piece of sand in my eye. It's the clarity of seeing how Hashem runs the world. It's the clarity of knowing. That's why you have this release when you cry. Everyone says, oh, I feel much better after a good cry. Because not only do we have the stress toxins that come out of our body, but the release brings us the clarity of knowing with trust. This is Hashem's running the world and he's got my back and he believes in me, okay? That's why we cry. We're doing physiology. So we sit down, we sit lowly, and we cry, we get that clarity, we have that relationship. B, focus. On that day, we read a special book on that day. It's a book called, is it Ecclesiastes? Oh, it's a book of all sad, sad stories. Lamentations, it's called. We read Lamentations and we focus on what we've lost, just like I spoke about. We've lost the ability to have that deep connection with God. But you know what Hashem says? He says, I want you to build me a temple so that I can dwell in them. It's plural, because the temple's got to be inside of us. Every single one of us has to build a temple inside of us. That's our godly self. That's our soul, where Hashem can dwell. So what do we focus on? We read the loss. We read about the loss of what we have. And then number 3 is language. When I sat with my husband and I spoke about my grandma, and my language was one of loss, but also of how we as a people have been built, but how me as a person has been built. My language was befitting the moment. I was in shiva, obviously not immediate shiva, but I was going through the process of mourning and processing it and speaking about it. And I heard those words again. And my language and my created a mindset that was allowing me to process, allowing me to recommemorate, to re-experience. So what I'm doing with this class tonight is telling you that on this day of the 9th of Av that's coming up in 2 weeks, and we're in this time period of mourning, That what do we do on that day? I don't know. What have I ever commemorated that day? Probably not. Have I ever fasted? Probably not. We fast because we take away our physical needs so we can focus on our soul and our spiritual needs and what we're missing. And we fast from the nighttime until the next nighttime. And I'm saying that if we understand how we create a positive and negative mindset, how we block ourselves, or how we can open up our potential, we use physiology, focus, and language, and we go with that. That's how we create the mindset needed in order to mourn appropriately the loss of the two temples, that we don't have that deep knowing of our Creator in the way that they did back then. So we have prayer, and we have different types of connection. We have gratitude, and we have thanks and appreciation and blessing, and all the mitzvahs that connect us to God. We have so many different things in giving to one another, but we don't have those temples, and that's how we're going to mourn them. All right? So that's what I wanted to share with you tonight. Any comments, questions, queries? Let's see if I've got the answers. Any thoughts? And remember that in order to, if you're doing the Rabbi Robbins for you, how to be in control of your own mindset, it takes a decision, it takes a plan, and it takes a decision. Action is what leads to progress. Progress leads to happiness. Energy is what gets you there, but you have to make a decision. Your choices are the things that shape your direction of your life. But if you don't make choices and you just let those choices happen to you, then you're not in control. Then life and people and circumstance and situations are in control. Hashem believes in you. You've got all of the power deep inside of you. Everything is a worthy opponent. He sends them your way to let you know that you have the internal power. It's all inside of you. And when you create and control, especially with physiology, it's amazing how it feels. If you just up your energy in that moment, you could conquer anything. Your kids are disrespecting you, your little ones are going crazy, you've got to deal with you're in the sandwich generation, you've got to deal with the old folk as well as the young folk. It's a lot. And I've got this, I can do this, I'm so capable. Yes. Punch yourself, punch the air one more time. Good, just do it, you'll see the difference. Yes! Do that, come on, do it. Right? Instantly, that change of energy makes you feel good. But I'm just saying for Tisha B'Av, the opposite is what gets you into the place of being able to mourn the loss of what we don't have anymore today. The clarity, the connection. But for you, the main things, you make a plan and you make a decision to do it. You can hear an inspiring class, you could go to a lecture, meet a person, have a mentor, have a moment of, yes, I'm going to change, whatever, fill in the blanks. And don't do anything about it. It sounds good, but you don't actually do it. It's because you never made the decision. When you remember, it changes from a should to a must when you make a decision. What's a must? I change my underwear every day. I brush my teeth every day. It's a must, no matter what. I should call my mother every day. It's a should. I'm good. I call her very, very often, probably more than most. But she's alone, so I try and call her every day. Should, but it's not a must. So it doesn't always happen. I should touch and spend 10 minutes with every person in my family and hug them and love on them. I should. It's not a must. Doesn't always happen. And again, we could all do our shoulds and musts. We've explained this before. The only way that you make a should into a must, you make that decision. And then you have a plan that backs it. You make sure your physiology, your language, your limiting beliefs and what you focus on drives you to your goal. Okay, any questions, comments, queries? All right, I love you so much. Go, Danny.
Yes. Does it fall always on the same date, Tisha?
This is always on the same Hebrew date. So Tisha was 9, Av is the Hebrew month of Av. This is the last thing before Rosh Hashanah.
Thank you, Sharon. This was wonderful.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Good. I'm so glad. Anyone else?
Sharon, I just want to say I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, thanks, Jackie.
Yeah.
She, incredible woman. Thank you so much. Anyone else?
Oh, yes, Sharon?
Yes, yes, yes.
Nicole.
Nicole.
I know, I'm actually in my car. No, this was what I just actually lost a friend of
I saw that, Nicole. Yeah, I'm so sorry for your loss too.
Thank you. I'm sorry for your loss. And I just I can really identify what you're saying about crying. I cried so much. I got an eye infection. I got a sty in my eye because I just was crying and crying. I had to go on ointment for antibiotics.
Oh, sorry, Nicole. Oh boy.
But it's like I finally feel purged. You know, I finally feel. You know, with the whole COVID thing, we couldn't bury her, and it was just. But I finally.
Glad your eye is better, Nicole, because it really looked terrible on the 4th of July. It was scary looking. I was scared by it.
But I can identify. It's just like I just grieve so hard and cry. I just had to cry and cry and cry, and now I feel. It's like it's finally lifting. It's finally like.
I'm so glad.
Yes, but it's cleansing. You know, it is very cleansing, and I like how you connect that to the soul. That's because I loved her so much, and now I'm gonna cry.
I'm sorry, Nicole.
Yeah, and she was only 56 with an 8-year-old, and I still cry for that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I'm sorry for your loss. Your grandmother sounds very special.
Oh, very special, very special. Is there anyone else want to say anything before we go?
When you talk about Mr. Rabbi Robbins,
yes,
so you're saying what you're saying is make a conscious effort to get out of your head, basically, and
no, to create your mindset. Make a conscious effort to create your mindset.
So get out of what you negative feelings in your head. Just get out of the negative.
The limiting beliefs.
Right.
Because that limiting belief is an old story. I actually watched him in a video do this. It says that when you start hearing the of those limiting beliefs again that want to get you into that funk, he says you should stand there, remember your physiology, and say, erase, and then step back into the new story that you've written.
Mm-hmm.
Erase.
It's easier said than done.
Oh, it is. And you know, I was on a high when I finished doing the comeback challenge. Such a high. I was like so up myself.
What's the comeback challenge? It
was 10 days, 5 with this amazing female speaker, and then 5 with Tony Robbins. Oh. And it was like it was a seminar. So I finished that.
That sounds amazing.
It was amazing.
Helped you and it motivated you?
Oh, it was amazing. Just fabulous.
And something has changed in your world because of it?
So I'll tell you. So something changed, and I'm watching this happen now, right? And I am so thankful that when I created this class, I was able to merge the two to let you know how you can be commanded to have a feeling by your physiology, your focus, and your language is what gets you there. Right. You know, when we stand under the chuppah and you break that glass, you break the glass because those temples because we don't have a temple anymore, that we can never have this full happiness as a nation because we have that loss. So we have this National Day of Mourning. But yeah, you recognize you're in the old story. Erase, you move to the loose. When I feel myself slipping, I've got to get back to those tools and make a decision. I've got to be back in those tools. We can only try, like we're all human, but it's a work in progress. But the challenges that we have, Hashem's saying you need to strengthen yourself again in this area. Here we go. And you've got to respond back to that voice. New story. Erase. Any more questions? And I am simplifying it, Wendy, absolutely. But sometimes simplicity, if you make the decision that you need progress in this area and you focus on it, and it's like juicing or a challenge or a diet or, loving up on your family member, or you're going to work on your gratitude, or you're going to fight an addiction, or whatever it is that you have, when you focus on it, you see it everywhere, and that seeing it everywhere supports you.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Anyone else? Yes, Nicole. Stella.
I just want to say to you, first of all, I'm really sorry for you and Nicole for your loss. It's really very, very,
thank you.
And it's really hard now, I think, because you can't travel and you can't do funerals and you can't mourn properly. So it's just that much, and you feel that much more separated. So I know how hard that is, and I'm sorry.
Thank you, Nicole.
I feel once again, Sharon Schenker, that you are my godsend, because I have 2 children that I'm not happy about, but they're going back to college in 3.5 to 4 weeks. Their college is opening. Even though it's online, they're both going to go back to Indiana. And I feel like I've still got, because I was feeling kind of anxious about it, because even though we've had so much time together, I just felt like I needed this like last life lessons push.
Oh, so glad. So glad.
Like you've given me now is something that is so tangible and so real to give to them to practice. And I've still got 3.5 weeks with both of them to kind of get this ingrained in their heads before they leave, and then they can continue it by themselves. So I'm so grateful to you. Thank you. And it's so nice to see all of you tonight.
Thank you, Nicole. Isn't it so nice to see everyone? The gang's back together, guys.
Yay!
I love it. Anyone else want to say anything before we sadly part?
I have a Sharon.
Yes, darling. Go ahead, Nicole.
Do you recommend about your story, changing up your story? Do you recommend writing it out?
Absolutely. It's never going to happen if you don't write it out.
So write out your story, all your complaints about yourself and your life, and if you're unhappy about your relationships or marital issues, whatever you're
going to write out how the language sounds to you.
And then rip it up, and then.
No, in each line that you write, you're then going to write your truths, or you're going to write your new story. Of once you've entered the future, like now there's potential. It doesn't have to be. It's only going to be the way that you think it's going to be if you label it that way and then you live down to it. We're going to live up to the new story that you create.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
No, I think that a lot of us had to create new stories during this pandemic.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so helpful to hear this, that, other people, you don't always want to be alone in it, right?
Oh, that's for sure.
And to hear that there is motivation. And, it's funny because Bryce told me, my son, that I'm always in my head, that I see myself different than any other, and then differently than anybody else sees me. And that I have to learn how to get out of my head.
He's a bright kid. Bryce has always been sensitive in that way.
Smart boy.
Yeah. So, and he's so right. And he's helped me a lot. It's like the Tony Robbins is stop getting in your head. And no matter what happens, you can make your own story and a new story. And
that's right.
And what you're saying, listen, I think we're all trying to do that. I hope we are, right?
Yeah.
And if we have to make a new story, let's just do it. There's no time to waste.
That's it.
That's right.
No, even to this degree, I took my kids to the beach this morning, went down to Santa Monica. No one was there. Nothing. There was no one. Just the whole place is closed down. The pier's closed, everything.
Right.
And we're out there, and as we're coming back past where the actual pier is, the dragon at the bottom, and the kids play on the dragon. They're like, wow, Mummy, it's so weird. There's no toys, there's no playground, everything's closed, all the piers are, and a 5 and 7-year-old, they said, it's so weird. I said, I know, this whole world is so crazy. And the minute I said it, I said, but we're making the most of it. And they went, yeah, we are. And there was this guy sitting on the wall, And he started laughing, you know, because I'm like, this world is so crazy. We're going to live in that. Like, that's going to go, this world's crazy. And like, but we're making the most of it. And my kids are like, yeah, we are.
Mhm.
So we have to realize not only do we hear it, but people around us hear it too.
Yeah.
You know, we role model all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta make lemonade out of lemons.
Right.
It's crazy.
It is. It
Are you
is.
allowed to go to shul on Saturday? What do you guys do?
So I haven't been to, I mean, I'm not so much of a shul goer, but I'm definitely the social part of shul. So I go to Kiddush every single week and I meet my husband and my sons. So I've not been able to do that because there's no mingling, but they now have, since the synagogues have been allowed to conduct services outside. So in my shul, they're just like in the alleyway, and they've put up tarp, and each person has one table. On the table there's hand squirt and, you know, sanitizer, and everyone has to wear a mask. So it's definitely the twilight zone. But yeah, we get to go. Otherwise the men have been praying we have all been praying in the house. But yeah, I'm very thankful that I'm a woman, and you know, we're told that we have a closer relationship with the Almighty, that we don't need to be in a minyan of 10 men, of 10 people in order to have that close relationship. So I'm very thankful to pray in
So
my
thankful that you
lounge.
don't get insulted.
I don't get insulted. I am so empowered. Oh my goodness.
I find it insulting, Sharon.
We're so much closer. It's described as being so much closer to God that I don't need to have 9 other people around me in order to be uplifted. Oh my goodness. Wendy, you and I, we'll have a whole conversation about it. I mean, this stuff, women's issues is what they're called in Judaism, to me, is so uplifting. And just last week's Parsha, we were there's 5 daughters called Zalafchad, the daughters of Zalafchad, right? Took me a long time to be able to say that word, Zalafchad. But this daughters of Zalafchad dies, and there are these 5 women, and the daughters, and there were no rules about inheritance. They want to know how they're going to get this inheritance. This is thousands of years ago. It was only recently, a few decades ago, a few generations ago, that women had rights and inheritance in the world. Judaism was the first proponent of women's rights. Judaism, okay? And they got inheritance. Moses said, oh my goodness, of course. And it was organized and it's written down that, of course, women get inheritance, not just the men. All the way through, every single woman in Judaism is the heroine of the story of every festival that we celebrate. It goes on and on. And we're just so empowered and blessed to be women. That's how I feel. Just incredible. So on that note, as incredible Jewish women that we are, I give you a blessing of love and to be able to change your state by changing your mindset through your physiology, your language, and your focus by creating not the limiting beliefs, but a new story. And now you're going to make a decision and a plan that you're going to jump into. You've got to do that. You've got to make it a must. Only happens with action. Progress makes you happy. We don't need the end result. We just need progress. And that progress happens when you make a decision. Okay, that's it. 1 millimeter of a change in an angle seems really small, but at the end of the day, it makes a massive change. Okay, so we just need a little bit of progress. All right, love you all. Bye.
Love you. Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you.
Love you so much.
Love
Bye.
you.
Love you. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.